This show is produced by the Hartman Media Company. For more information and links to all our great podcasts, visit hartmanmedia.com.
Speakers, publishers, consultants, coaches, and info marketers unite. The Speaking of Wealth Show is your roadmap to success and significance. Learn the latest tools, technologies, and tactics to get more bookings, sell more products, and attract more clients. If you're looking to increase your direct response sales, create a big-time personal brand, and become the go-to guru, the Speaking of Wealth Show is for you. Here's your host, Jason Hartman.
It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Greg Reid to the show. He is the author of, I believe, 78 books or something like that. But his most recent book, it's pretty exciting. He went around interviewing millionaires and billionaires to discover sort of their secret hack to wealth and distilled it all into one-page chapters for each. And so that's really exciting. The book is entitled Wealth Made Easy. Millionaires and Billionaires Help You Crack the Code to Getting Rich. Greg, welcome. How are you?
Absolutely amazing. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's good to have you. So tell the listeners where you're located.
Well, I'm down in San Diego, California, born and raised on the beach community in Del Mar. And I got to tell you, it's been a glorious life.
Fantastic. Used to live there myself. So when you were interviewing all of these wealthy people, tell us about some of the wealth hacks you discovered. And first off, why do you call them wealth hacks? You mean shortcuts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a lot of things on the internet right now, they do these life hacks.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting is sitting down with these folks to find out, what their simple step was. Mm-hmm. And I also realized most of these people that created massive abundance, it wasn't difficult. All they did was take action with simple ideas.
Okay, so some simple ideas, taking action. I know we've all been in a position where maybe we looked at some real wealthy person and we're thinking, what's their secret to success? It's not that big a deal. It's just a matter of doing it sometimes, right? Versus not doing it. But tell us about some of the hacks you discovered.
Well, my first one in the book was a really amazing gentleman up in Canada. His name's Brian, and he's worth about $700 million. And I said, how did you make your fortune in dirt? And he said, that's easy. He said, time plus land is wealth. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, all I do is I look for a town that's growing about 25% exponentially every year. He says, you can go on Google Maps and find it. It's free. And he goes, I look for Broadway, Main Street, and I draw a line out 8 miles and I buy the dirt. I rent that dirt to farmers who pay the lease, so it's free to me, and I get vegetables for many years. As a town continues to grow at 25%, it ends up on my plot. And since I'm on Main Street and I own the biggest land, that's what I sell to the big box stores for 800 times what I paid.
Interesting. So that would be called, since I'm a real estate guy, that would be called investing in the path of progress. Yeah, and so when you see that growth, but a lot of people are thinking that takes quite a while, doesn't it?
In that case, it absolutely does. Yeah. And a lot of these people did not find overnight success by any means. That's the whole thing. Remember, the part about personal growth is that pesky growth part, Right. It's the action in this law of attraction that makes our dreams come true. Look, you got to think it, you got to feel it, but ultimately you got to take action. You got to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to do it. And 10 years from now, or even a year from now, you'll wish you had started a year ago or 10 years ago. So
correct. I call it being kind to your future self.
Oh, being kind to I like that. Be kind to your future self by doing something today. Great idea. Okay, so you got the dirt investor. I love real estate. I think it's the most historically proven asset class in the world, so that's good. What are some of the other hacks?
Well, there's too many to mention, but I will share one of my favorite aha takeaways. I sat down with Tonino Lamborghini. Everyone knows the Lamborghini brand, and him and his father sold the brand to Volkswagen for a fortune. And I asked him, I says, how did you guys create so much wealth and abundance? And he looked at me and says, it's pretty easy. All you got to do is create a product, good, or service that people will save their money to happily hand it to you. Mm-hmm. I go, what do you mean? He says, well, look, he goes, no one's going to save their money to buy your book or to go to your seminar, but people will cash in their 401k to drive one of our cars. He says, you will not spend $2,000 a night to live in your own apartment, but you'll cash in the family's vacation fund to go to Anaheim and give it to a mouse with big ears. He says, if you can create a product, good experience that people save their money to happily hand it to you, you'll never run out of success.
Can you say what his product or experience was?
Well, first was called a Lamborghini. So that was pretty easy. It's a vehicle. And then the other one was the Lamborghini hotels that he's opened up worldwide right now.
But you're saying, so he is the founder of Lamborghini? What do you mean?
Yes, Tonino Lamborghini. Okay. His father created Lamborghini, and then he took it over when he was 24 years old. His first car was something called a Countach that he brought in, and then he ended up leaving when it was the Diablo, and then they sold the company. So I'm talking about the Mr. Lamborghini.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know that was the actual. Okay, got it. Okay, so creating that, that car's got an aura around it, obviously, just like Ferrari or any of these incredibly high-end brands. So yeah, amazing. Okay, go ahead.
Well, it's so funny going along this journey of meeting these amazing people. I kept learning something new, at every different turning path. But one of them that was really interesting is this little concept called CPC. And this completely transformed the way I started looking at life and business. And CPC stands for clues, patterns, choices. And this is what successful people do.
Pattern, choices. Okay.
Yeah. So for example, it's all about taking accountability and responsibility for everything that happens and stop blaming others. So if I went out on a first date and let's say the person showed up 20 minutes late, well, there's a clue. If I go on the second and third date and they show up 20 minutes late each time, there's a pattern. Now it's my choice whether I deal with it, I address it, I accept it, or what have you, but it's not their fault. They're just late. And as soon as we start changing our viewpoint, things start changing around us. How many times have we seen someone do a bad business deal with someone and they go, oh, it'll be different for me? Well, they saw a clue. Then they see it happen to another person and say, well, there's a pattern. And then we're amazed and shocked when we get cheated by that same person, even though we chose to go down that road. So the whole idea of CPC, of clues, patterns, choices, the outcome is entirely up to us.
Clues, pattern, choices. Okay, good stuff. So are there certain characteristics that like everybody you interviewed embodied?
One of the things were probably the things that people did not have in common, which I thought was brilliant. So for example, when I was a kid, they always taught you that readers are leaders. And I found that to be complete and utter bullshit. And it was really interesting because in today's society, we have quick memes on our phone. We have news flashes. We have, Instagrams. We have YouTubes. And it's the consumer of knowledge and information, no matter what the modality is, that are the leaders of today. So I don't think everyone has to get their information just from book form, even though I'm an author, even though that's my livelihood. I'm saying at the end of the day, even myself, I get more information from different services than I do from books themselves.
Okay, so, I even like to, I sort of change that saying, and I think you'll agree with me. Instead of readers are leaders, earners are learners, because you can learn a lot of different ways besides just reading, right?
Correct. So, and it's really interesting. It's about surrounding yourself with people, that are getting the results you want. Look, when I wanted to be a best-selling author, I did not go to people who wrote amazing books. I didn't want to be a great writing author. I went to Barnes & Noble and I went to the best-selling section and I called those authors up and said, hey, will you teach me? And they did. And here we are today. So the whole idea is to surround ourselves with people that are actually getting the results that we want for ourselves.
Okay. So certainly that principle of the mastermind, very important. And just, like Jim Rohn says, your income is the average of the 5 people you spend your time with, right?
And I disagree. I think that was great 100 years ago. But in today's society, it is not true, because the fact of the matter is majority of people are spending the most of their time on Facebook and virtual friends, right?
Right.
So things have changed. Modalities have changed. And this is the biggest challenge with personal development. Everyone's stuck literally in the horse and buggy days. And it's not that way today.
Tell us more about that. So what's the solution?
There's more billionaires being made right now and spit out because of the modern age that we live in. I mean, when you go back to, the Industrial Revolution, and you start looking at, how things were changing back in when they bring, locomotives and oil and gas and all these different things for infrastructure. Well, today they're creating apps and programs and systems that the world had no idea it would exist 10 years ago.
Sure.
And so successful people, these billionaires, are like football quarterbacks. They don't throw the football where the wide receiver is standing. They throw it downfield and let the market run to them. And that's what I'm talking about. It's just a different thing. You have to see what's coming next if you want to get ahead of the curve.
Okay, so how is it not true, though, that you want to hang around with successful people? I'm just kind of curious about that. For my own personal reasons, if nothing else.
Well, I do believe you do want to surround yourself with successful people, and I do all the time. Mm-hmm. But the realities are I spend majority of my time with people that are helping me build my company and my infrastructure. Now, I have mastermind groups with these amazing juggernaut of human beings where every other month we sit around a coffee table. And I'm talking about the founder of Make-A-Wish and the founder of a billion-dollar brand like UGG boots, right. Oscar-winning producers, things like that. But day to day, my daily activity is surrounding myself with people that are helping me get things done and accomplished. Mm-hmm. So the whole idea is if we're a reflection of that, and let's say my employee made, $50,000 a year, I don't make $50,000 a year.
Right.
So the whole idea is that even though I'm surrounding myself with that person doesn't mean I'm an exact reflection of that.
That's a good point. I'm really glad you mentioned that.
Would you call it brilliant?
Yeah, that's true. And by the way, Brian Smith spoke at a couple of our events. And so, the UGG story is awesome. But, that's true. I think a lot of people get caught up in this idea of, maybe The Secret. You mentioned that earlier, right? Or the law of attraction. I think you mentioned is, similar relationship, right? And they don't do the action part. They think success will just sort of rub off on them. So certainly being inspired by really successful people, a very important part of it. But you got to go and get to work with the worker bees too, because you've got to actually produce something and do something and get it out into the marketplace, right?
Absolutely. And the person you mentioned, back to The Secret, there was a gentleman who starred in that, was named Bob Proctor.
Right.
He and I wrote a book together called Think and Grow Rich, Thoughts Are Things. Mm-hmm. And what we did, we went around and interviewed everyone from Holocaust survivors to the founder of JetBlue Airlines, from the founder of Pictionary to all these amazing people to find out how thoughts become realities. And what we discovered is that thoughts are not things. It's just a crap we were told 100 years ago. Thoughts are not things. We went down to neuroscientists at Harvard, and we realized that human beings have an average of 64,000 thoughts. But unfortunately, most of them are called ants, automatic negative thoughts. They're the reptilian part of your brain to keep you safe when you walk out of the cave so a dinosaur doesn't eat you. So if thoughts were things, and majority of it was negative, then everything would be chaos. It's the actions based on the thoughts that become our reality. If thoughts were things right now, man, I'd be a slice of pizza because I'm hungry, right? But when we're done with this and I go to the Luigi's and buy a slice of pizza, my thoughts become reality by the actions in which we take.
Yeah. The actions definitely take it. And to do the actions, you're usually hanging around with worker bees who are helping you execute on those actions. I think that's a really good distinction, an add-on to the old saying. Very good point. What else did you learn from the successful people? Just anything you want to share, maybe a question I haven't asked you.
How about the biggest misnomer? I've written, I've been part of, I think, 78 books in 45 languages, and every single thing I ever wrote about wealth, I was wrong. And everything I wrote about happiness and, living a purpose-filled life was correct. But I'm talking about wealth and abundance, just pure cash flow and money. I had no idea. And by sitting down with these people, it changed my entire paradigm. And I'll share one with you, but it might just hurt your head a little bit.
Go for it.
So I sat down with this multi-billionaire and I said, why are you a billionaire and I'm not? I go, I'm just as smart as you. I go, I take the same actions as you. And he looked me straight in the eye. He says, Greg, it's because you believe all the BS lies that you spread to the world. He says, you are the person who suppresses mankind and all your friends, and we appreciate it, and we hope you continue that action. I looked up and go, what?
Wow.
He goes, you're the purveyor of the greatest lie that's ever been told. And I go, what's that? And he said, to follow your passion and the money will follow.
Yeah.
He goes, please don't telling people that. He goes, what you'll do is find someone who's a welder their whole life. They retire, they got money, and they go to a Tony Robbins seminar and they open a yogurt shop because it's their passion. Now, 90% of businesses fail, not because they're not passionate, it's because they're a welder, not a yogurt person. He says, but when they go under, they're so passionate, they hold on to it like their baby, and they pull down their car and their boat and their house. He goes, that's where we sweep in and buy it pennies on the dollar. He goes, we love that stuff. He goes, we're like a game of Frogger. We ride a log until it has a dip. We jump to the next log. We can never go down with the ship because it's just business. He goes, we create so much opportunity and wealth for ourselves. We use that money to finance our passion. You guys just do it in reverse. He goes, the Gettys and the sheiks, they have no passion for crude oil in the ground. He goes, waste management has no passion for dirty diapers. He goes, the aggregate dealers have no passion for sand and gravel that builds the freeways. He goes, but they're the ones that built every university, the ballet. He goes, we're the people that are wealthy, that are building the coliseums and the sports teams, that people following their passion are on the field killing themselves for a couple $1,000,000. He goes, until you can change your viewpoint, you might get rich, but you'll never be wealthy.
Okay, so in other words, don't be overcommitted to any particular opportunity. Is that the first point, the Frogger metaphor?
Exactly. And the whole idea is to not get so emotionally caught up in turmoil that it pulls you down and you make rash decisions. I mean, I guarantee everyone listening to this, if they look back in life and said, where did they make the most money from? It was the thing they had the least energy or emotion about. And it was really interesting is this billionaire guy says, he goes, you guys are telling these bumper stickers to all these people and they wonder why they're broke and you're the one who's keeping them that way. And I go, what? And he pulled out a meme on his phone. He said, follow your passion and not a paycheck. And he goes, and then they wonder why they got no money. He goes, the whole idea is that you have to change that viewpoint.
That's interesting. I think the follow your passion thing has been highly overrated. I remember I interviewed this professor once on the show, and I don't know, I think he was like an Emory University professor or something. And he said, this follow your passion thing is kind of overrated. Nobody's particularly passionate about selling hot dogs, for example, if they had a hot dog stand, right? But the thing they are passionate about is being free and, dictating, guiding their own future, right? And not working for somebody else. So it doesn't need to be the widget that you sell or the service that you provide as a business person. It could be just the idea of knowing that you're more in control of your destiny, or the idea that gives you the freedom to follow your passion, right?
Well, that's why they call it financial pause freedom.
Right.
It's the freedom part that's so special. When this billionaire guy, another one told me, he says, what's interesting? He goes, if you went back like a bell curve and you looked at everyone that was rich, they're millionaires, and they lost all their money. He goes, how many of those have you met in your life? A ton of them. He goes, know how they lost their money? I go, what? And he goes, they followed their passion. He goes, they followed an opportunity to build that wealth, and then they lost it going the other way. And he says, so the whole idea is this. Yeah, there's an old joke says, how do you become a millionaire in the movie industry? You start out as a billionaire, right?
Or the airline industry, even better, right?
That's right.
Absolutely. Very good. Good stuff. Do you host a summit, right?
Absolutely. In fact,
tell us about
we have the Inc., I think, voted us one of the top 10 in the nation. It's called Secret Knock. And we're the weirdest event that you cannot attend. So the whole idea is that you have to go fill out an application and go through a system just to even get applied before you can come play with us. And it costs $3,000 to go, but we will not tell you where it is or who will be there. And the whole idea is that when folks come, we start parading people, not just mentors and coaches and teachers. We bring in the actual person. So for example, this last one, we had President Vicente Fox come out on stage, and I said, hey, before we start this thing, we'll go real easy into our interview. And he goes, okay, Greg. And I go, I understand you're building me a wall. He goes, what? Right? And we've had private Skypes with Edward Snowden and Russia. We've had the founder of Showtime Television. We've had all these amazing people that most people would not have direct access, where you get to go have lunch and get to know them on a first-hand basis.
Yeah, the good stuff. Good stuff. Is that small? What's the audience size?
Yes, it's usually 200 to 400, depending upon the venue. So what happens is I go find a venue, and however many it holds, that's how many can come. And what's really challenging is 50% are alumni, repeat offenders, and then 50% can be new people. So there's only a limited amount of people that can join the tribe at a time. And by doing that, we've created the most incredible environment. I'll give you an example. Kevin Harrington, one of the, the inventor of the infomercial, he was here last time, and I says, why do you always come to Secret Knock? And he looked at me and says, Greg, every time I do, I make over $1 million. And I go, what? Because there's always someone to do a business deal.
He does a deal, right?
That's right.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, good stuff. Now, what are you doing with the Napoleon Hill Foundation? This is going to be another book, right?
Well, we got one coming out. So I've been writing the Think and Grow Rich series through the Napoleon Hill Foundation for the last 11 years. And Sharon Lecter and I have a book coming out called Success and Something Greater. What's really cool is when Napoleon Hill was passing away, that wasn't the cool part, he had a book title he wanted to publish, and it never made it to mainstream media. So the Napoleon Hill Foundation and Surviving Family just granted that to Sharon and I, called Success and Something Greater. And on September 14th in Las Vegas, we're going to do a release party and bring all the people we interviewed for that project together in one place at one time. And then the next morning, like I was telling you off site here, is that they're giving me the star on the Walk of Fame in front of the Paris Hotel. So it's pretty exciting.
Good stuff. Well, Greg, give out your website and tell people where they can learn more.
Well, just Google me, Greg S. Reid. Pretty simple stuff. And if there's anything I can do to be of contribution, just let me know.
Greg Reid, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Be sure to check out the show's specific website and our general website, hartmanmedia.com, for appropriate disclaimers and terms of service. Remember that guest opinions are their own, and if you require specific legal or tax advice or advice in any other specialized area, please consult an appropriate professional. And we also very much appreciate you reviewing the show. Please go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or whatever platform you're using and write a review for the show. We would very much appreciate that. And be sure to make it official and subscribe so you do not miss any episodes. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.